Setting the right price for your high-level community is important, but it can also be a little bit tricky. If you charge too much, then it's going to be harder to convert new members, but it's also going to be harder to retain those members for more than a few months. But if you price your community too low, then the number of members that you need to acquire to make any real money starts to feel a little bit out of reach. Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about pricing your community correctly so you can make a ton of money and retain your members as long as possible. What's up, y'all? My name is Ron Medlin, and I help coaches and online experts build six-figure lifestyle businesses using content and communities. And in every one of my videos, it's my goal to give you at least one actionable step that you can take away and you can implement right now to get you closer to your income goals this year. And again, if you'd like to get access to our community setup checklist and the free masterclass that's going to walk you step by step through how to launch your new community and get your first 100 members, plus all the pricing resources that we walked through today, I'm going to drop a link in the description to join our community, and you can access everything in the classroom area. All right, so the first thing that we need to do when pricing our high-level community is to determine how much income do we need to make. So I like to start here to know exactly what numbers I need to support my lifestyle. So what do I need to pay my bills, to keep the lights on, and to do the things that I want to be able to do? And I think that this is the best place to start when coming up with your pricing, instead of targeting some big crazy goal, because I want to know what it's going to take for me to survive, so I'll know exactly what I need to do to make that happen, and I know how realistic those numbers are. All right, so now that you've figured out how much income you need to bring in to support yourself, now you want to think about, where does your high-level community fit in your overall business model? Do you want it to make up 100% of your income, or is it more of a bonus income stream and maybe you're selling like a high-ticket back-end offer, which is what we do? And if that's the case, if you are selling a high-ticket back-end offer, what percentage of your total income do you want your community to actually bring in? So I've created a little membership calculator here to help you to start to see what these numbers might look like. So the way this calculator works is you're going to edit these yellow boxes here, and then these gray boxes are going to be automatically calculated for you. So this calculator works on a very simple equation. It's basically your income equals your revenue minus your expenses. So you're going to want to take note of all your expenses, your operating expenses, which includes your payroll, software, phone, internet, any other expenses you incur while running your business. Taxes. How much are you paying in taxes? Refunds and merchant fees. A good rule of thumb here is around 5% for both of those numbers. And then finally, how much are you spending on advertising? Okay, and you're going to make note of all those expenses because we're going to be using them here in a second. All right, let's start playing around with some numbers to see how much revenue that we need to generate in order to hit the income goals that we set for ourselves. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what percentage of our total income that we want our high-level community to actually make up. So again, I sell a high-ticket offer, so let's just say that I only want my membership community to make up 20% of my overall income. So I'm going to set this first number to 20%. Then we're going to start plugging in our expenses. The first one's going to be taxes. This is automatic. So if this cell is set to 30%, if you wanted to change that, you could click into the cell here and you can just change the formula over here on the left-hand side. So we've got that set, your taxes set at 30%. We've got refunds and merchant fees set at 5%. So those numbers are automated. You don't have to do anything with that. Then we need to plug in our operating expenses. So let's just say I'm doing it fairly cheap and I'm only spending $1,500 a month on operating expenses. Then let's talk about advertising costs. Let's just say I'm also doing this fairly cheap, or let's just say I'm doing everything organic. So I'm just going to remove that and put that at 0. Then we want to set our membership price. Now, we launched our membership to founding members at $67 a month. So I'm going to plug that in as my number here. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to start playing with the revenue number over here and then try to get this monthly income at 100% to what we need to bring in, that income target that we're looking for. So let's just say, for round numbers sake, I want to bring in $10,000 in income each month. So I need to play with this number to get the monthly income over here to $10,000. To do that, I'm just going to take this down to, let's just say $20,000 and see if that gets us there. All right, so at $20,000 in revenue per month, we're going to bring in a monthly income of $11,500 based on the numbers that we plugged in here. So we need to bring this down a little bit more to get it closer to 10,000. So I'm going to say $18,000 in revenue. All right, so that's $18,000 in revenue is going to bring in a monthly income of $10,200. Okay, great. Now, based on these numbers, how many members do I need to bring in to, first of all, hit the $10,200 if that was going to be 100% of our income? At $67 per member, we would need to bring in 269 members to make $10,200 in revenue. But again, we only wanted our membership community to make up 20% of our overall income. So for us, we only need to generate $3,600 in revenue. And to do that at $67 $67 per member, we need to bring in 54 members. So that's how this, all right, so now that you've seen how the membership pricing calculator works and you kind of understand how many members that you need to bring in based on your income goals and the numbers that you plug in here, now let's talk about some things that you need to consider when coming up with your pricing. So the first one's going to be, we already talked about this, your income target. So what are you targeting for your income? Next thing is going to be price range of communities in your industry. So do some research and find the spectrum of the lowest price communities and then the highest price communities. And then you want to try to probably price your community somewhere in that range. Next thing is going to be ROI for members. And so you want to think about, what is the ROI of your members? Your niche is going to influence this a lot. So in some niches like fitness or hobby interests, communities are going to be more nice to have. So they're not going to need those communities. And as opposed to something that's really going to change their life and help them make $1 million or something like that. Okay. So what is the ROI for your members? The next is what model and size of community do you want to have? So model and size. Do you want to run a super exclusive membership with lots of personalized attention that only has like 10 members? In that case, you want to charge premium prices for that. Okay. Or do you want a community where it's more of a volume play and you want to charge lower prices and get tons and tons of people to join and stay around for longer? Think the Netflix or Planet Fitness model. And then finally, you want to take an honest opinion of your knowledge and experience. Okay. So if you're just starting out and you want to try to charge $500 a month for a membership where everybody else is charging like $100 a month for your membership, that's just not really realistic. So you want to take an honest look at the value your community offers and the price that you can demand based on your audience, your knowledge and experience, and where you can honestly say where you fit in that price range that we talked about earlier. So these are some of the factors that you want to consider when coming up with your price range that you want to set for your community. Now, I wish everything that we talked about so far was the complete picture, but it's not. So in a perfect world, we would retain 100% of our members and no one would ever leave. But we all know that that is not realistic, and that's where churn comes into play. So churn is the percentage of your total members that are canceling their subscriptions each month. So you've got to factor in churn into the equation to get the full picture of how you're going to actually hit your numbers and to see if it's even possible to hit your numbers, because churn creates a growth ceiling. So if the number of members that are churning each month is the same or higher than the number of members that you're actually bringing in, then your revenue has reached a ceiling and you can't grow any further. So once you've reached that ceiling, there are a few levers that you can actually pull to grow your revenue again. You can either bring in more members, you can reduce your churn rate, or you can raise your prices. So Sam Ovens, who's the owner of Skool, a online community platform, recently mentioned that the average churn rate across all Skool communities is around 20%. So he said that 30% or higher is bad and 10% or lower is pretty good. So typically your lower price communities are going to have a lower churn rate. You can think of like the Netflix or the Planet Fitness model where people just never leave because they're so cheap. He also mentioned that there was a steep drop off once you raise your monthly subscription over $250 a month. So that's going to give you a good range to think about with your initial pricing and give you a benchmark to start with based on around your churn rate. So what you're looking at here is an MRR growth ceiling calculator. So this is going to show you your growth ceiling based off of how many members you think you can bring in each month, an estimate of your churn rate, and what you're planning your initial pricing. So then once you have your initial pricing over here, then you can actually compare it to your future numbers, what they might look like if you were to make some adjustments around your new member signups, your churn rate, or your pricing. So I did this for my community. So I want to be conservative here. I'm going to say I'm bringing in 20 members per month. Our founder member pricing was at $67 per month. And because we offer so much value and we give our members a GoHighLevel account, our churn rate is actually really, really low. I'm going to say 10%, but it's probably even lower than that. So over here, you can see that my maximum number of members that I can bring in with these numbers is going to be 200. I can't go any higher than that with these numbers. And so my MRR growth ceiling, or the monthly revenue that I can generate each month, is only going to be $13,400. Okay, so if I go back over to my membership pricing calculator and I plug that number in, let's just see how much income I can actually make. So $13,400, I can only bring in, it's only possible for me to bring in $7,200 per month if that was 100% of my income. Okay, so that's my current, let's just say those are my current numbers. Now I want to actually take a look at what this is going to look like in the future. So let's just say that I could get more people coming in and I could raise this to 40 new members per month. So that's going to be 100% improvement. And then I'm going to say my churn rate is actually going to go up because once I raise my price, it's probably going to churn a little bit more. So I'm going to set that at 15%. And then our new pricing, once we get 50 founding members, is going to be $97. So now my maximum number of members is going to be 267, and my MRR gross ceiling, my revenue gross ceiling, is going to be $25,899. So let's actually see how much income we can now bring in at $25,899 in revenue. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to see now I can bring in a monthly income of $15,334. Okay, so that's much, much better. So now you can see how this MRR gross ceiling calculator works. The final thing I want to do is show you how much annual revenue that you could possibly generate based off of your numbers. So to do that, we're going to head back over to the membership pricing calculator, and we're going to go to the second tab. Then we're going to start to plug in our numbers in the yellow boxes underneath the variables. So I'm going to take my numbers from my future trajectory that we just talked about in the gross ceiling calculator, and I'm going to plug those in. So remember, our new memberships per month, we're going to be 40. We're going to bring in 40 new members per month. 80% of those I want to be monthly subscriptions. 20% of those I'm saying is going to be annual subscriptions. My monthly churn, remember, was 15%. My annual churn, I'm just guessing, is going to be 50%. My monthly price is going to be $97 per month, and my annual price is going to be $997 per year. So those are my numbers. Plug yours in, and then these boxes are going to tell you how much potential revenue that you could generate if you keep these numbers the same. All right, so our first year, we're going to generate $243,000. Not too bad. Revenue number two, year number two, is going to be $377,000. Okay, now we're starting to look pretty good. Revenue year three is going to be $437,000. And again, you can make these numbers even better if you bring in more members, if you reduce your churn rate, or if you raise your prices. So now you have a solid structure, and I'm going to give you the tools to actually come up with your pricing for your community. Again, if you'd like to get access to our community launch checklist and our free masterclass where we show you how to launch a brand new community and get your first 100 members, plus the resources that we talked about in this video, then I'm going to drop a link in the description so you can join our free community and you can access all of these resources inside the classroom area. I hope you got a lot of value out of this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.